Me?
That's what I should do. Every time you stop
Jay.
at something, I'm going to try finishing your
You'll
sentence
thank
for
you very much. That ought to be quite a show.
Bonnie and Friends. Catch them weekday mornings beginning at 5.
970 WDAY AM and 93.1 FM. Fargo-Moorhead.
And welcome to Weather and Ag in Focus. Thanks for joining us on this Wednesday afternoon. 103 right now, 37 degrees outside with a south wind at 17 miles an hour. A lot of sunshine. It is a beautiful day. I'm meteorologist Justin Storm with Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki back from his trip to Nebraska, and our Ag Director Bridgette Readel. Good afternoon, guys. How's it going? Dean, how was your trip?
12 hours round trip. Beautiful. Although I will say I was jealous. Got down there, it was 60 degrees, and everybody was out golfing. Literally, it was just... And oddly enough, Bridgette, outside of, let's say between, Sioux City and Omaha, a lot of farmers out there still, well, not, I shouldn't say a lot. There was a few out there still harvesting corn. I was kind of surprised, and it looked like they were trying to do some burn control out in the fields as well. Is that typical, or especially with how dry it's been?
Well, I think that's probably fairly typical. You've got folks that maybe haven't finished all their harvest yet, and they're getting to it. They've had some rain in some of those areas as well, so that maybe was a delay. Additionally, when it comes to some of that burning, it's a common practice in a lot of instances. Nobody said it's always a good idea. Hopefully there are fire breaks around it, and that they're keeping a very close eye on what they light on fire, because I've given the story before of the farmer's dad who lit one end of the field while they were making the last pass on the other side of the field. And everything was so dry that fire raced across the field, and they had to hustle to get that combine off before the fire got to it. So you got to be careful out there.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, it can happen.
But mild weather, boy.
I remember.
Go ahead, Justin.
I was going to say, I remember a story a couple of years ago that there was a trailer going down I-29, and it was dragging some chains behind it, and that was enough to kick up some sparks, and it set up about a 14-mile long little grass fire along the interstate. Or maybe it was on I-29, one of the highways around here.
It was I-29, and there was some chain dragging that caused it. So you're right. There's a lot of dry matter. I don't think we have to worry about that now, do we, guys? I think this snow, it's probably here to stay.
Well, I would venture to bet most of this is going to, I'd say a majority of this is going to melt off by Saturday. We've got some really mild weather, but it's here through then. I mean, this is great sledding weather. We had a couple people comment on our Facebook that, hey, we're going to go take the kids out sledding. They're off of school, and this is perfect weather to do it. But is there any more snow in the forecast? And how long is this mild weather going to stick around? We have a short break with ABC News, but when we do come back, we will touch on the rest of the forecast. We'll go into some ag topics as well. We also have a guest today to talk about tax prep for farmers, and so we'll have that and more. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
From ABC News, I'm Richard Cantu. We're getting casualty numbers from last night's mass shooting at a Walmart supercenter in Chesapeake, Virginia. Police say a total of 7 people were shot dead. That number includes the suspected shooter. Police spokesman Leo Kaczynski says they don't know if police killed that individual or if that person took their own life.
It's sad. We're a couple days before the Thanksgiving holiday. I mean, anytime that's sad, I mean, it's just a bad time all around. It's just for everybody involved. Especially the victims. Like this is horrible.
No word right now on the numbers of those wounded.
I don't believe so, but I can't say that for sure. So that's still being part of the investigation. It's all because it all happened very, very quickly, very dynamic. A lot of people involved, a lot of officers.
Nothing official, but a law enforcement source tells ABC News the preliminary information indicates the shooter was a store employee, maybe even a manager. With President Biden's proposed student debt relief tied up in courts, the president has extended the restart of payments for another 6 months. He says he'll never apologize for trying to help middle-class Americans.
Republican special interest and elected officials sued to deny this relief, even for their own constituents. But I'm completely confident my plan is legal. But right now, it's on hold because of these lawsuits.
It appears to be the end of the road for the last president's bid to keep his tax returns and other financial records out of the hands of a congressional committee.
After a 3.5-year legal battle, Democrats in Congress will finally get access to Trump's tax returns. But the long legal battle has left them with virtually no time to go through them. Whatever investigation they start now will almost certainly be shut down when Republicans take over the House in January.
ABC's Jonathan Karl. Israeli authorities say 2 explosions hit near bus stops in Jerusalem. 1 person was killed, at least 18 were hurt. Palestinians suspected. You're listening to ABC News.
If you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in taxes, please listen to this important message. The IRS is aggressively hiring and quickly ramping up their tax collection team. Act now and protect yourself with a call to Tax Alliance. Don't let the money you owe the IRS keep you up at night and ruin your life. You may be surprised at how much having Tax Alliance on your side can protect you from the IRS collections and help you save thousands on what you owe. Here's what a customer had to say.
Tax Alliance did an amazing job helping me through a quite difficult situation, saving me tens and thousands of dollars that I would have been paying for many years to come.
Tax Alliance is rated A+ with a Better Business Bureau with no consumer complaints. If you owe the IRS at least $10,000 or more in back taxes, have unfiled returns, or have a payment plan and are still frustrated, call Tax Alliance now for a free consultation. 800-577-4976. 800-577-4976. 800-577-4976.
Tax Alliance, your tax resolution solution.
Urban Toad Media has moved, now in a brand new location on Main Avenue in West Fargo. Urban Toad Media offers the same quality graphic design and professional photography. Urban Toad Media has been a leader in the FM area, providing exceptional graphic design and professional photography. They offer friendly and affordable service. You'll love working with Urban Toad Media. Visit their website at urbantoadmedia.com for more info.
Hi, this is Stacy from Midtown Tavern, featuring Dwayne's House of Pizza. Who else in town has a glycol polar plate system? What? It's a secondary system for chilling tap beer. Put that in one of our frosted mugs and it's the coldest beer in town. Everyone wants the coldest beer. Midtown Tavern has it. Combine that with a Dwayne's Pizza, as well as our vast menu with many handmade menu items, specials every day of the week, and a multi-purpose room up to 50 people. Stop in to visit us. The Midtown Tavern, 2223 Highway 10 East in Moorhead.
And welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. I'm Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki, along with Meteorologist Justin Storm and our Ag Director Bridgette Readel. We want to thank everybody for joining us. It's a mild day out there today with temps in the 30s, just absolutely beautiful out there, and this mild weather is going to continue. This is great for anybody doing any traveling, going to or coming home from your Thanksgiving destination, as temperatures and weather are going to be just absolutely perfect. So might see a little melting and refreeze. So if you're out early in the morning, watch some of those side streets. Main thoroughfares are going to be okay. And this weather lasts all the way through the weekend. I don't see any chance of precip to worry about until probably Tuesday of next week. And even that storm is in question. That may dive south. There's a whole, Justin, you were saying earlier that there's a whole train of these storm systems out in the Pacific. They hit the Pacific Northwest and just take that southern route and dive down into areas that need the precip. That's good. Areas Texas, Oklahoma, New Mexico, southeast Colorado, all the way up into the Ohio Valley. They need the moisture, and they are getting it. And we made our snow bet just the other day in-house on how much snow we're expecting here this winter. And I'm really concerned that this is going to be one of those. This is going to be almost a repeat the way it looks right now. LRC is not set yet, but we know the majority of this pattern in the LRC already. And this reminds me a lot of 2 years ago. And we know what happened then. And we know what happened the following spring and summer. So let's hope something changes here quickly, real quickly, because it's just not looking good. It's looking pretty dry. I hope I'm
well,
wrong.
And that very well could be the case.
Yeah.
It could be, but we have to watch to see how the pattern sets up. what it might look like. And then we're going to have to decide as an industry, what are the changes we may or may not have to make? Does that affect grazing plans if you have cattle or sheep? Does that affect what you do for some of your seed purchases, which is going on right now for 2023? So by the time the three of us get to the Northern Ag Expo next Tuesday morning at 9 o'clock to present our session with the LRC, I think we're going to get a lot of questions about what to anticipate for the coming year, so folks can be making some very critical buying decisions right now. So that's just one area of focus for the LRC and what it can do for our industry.
And how important, like, if we can tell the ag community, Bridgette, hey, you know what, this upcoming spring and summer is going to, and I'm not saying it is, but if we can give them forewarning, this is going to be like 2 summers ago and two years ago, where it was a very dry spring and it led into a very dry summer. Now we're already coming off drought conditions, okay? So this would be even probably a little worse than it was 2 years ago. And if we can let them know that ahead of time, what would they do differently? How could they save money?
I think there's a few things to keep in mind. That if we're talking about the summer of 2020, didn't we get to the point in late summer, like in August, where we got some heavy rain and our fall harvest was a bit wet versus what we'd been through prior to that? And if that's the case, we could see something like we did in the spring of 2022, where sunflower acres were up because folks were looking for a more drought-tolerant crop to plant. We may also see that with wheat, which does better under drier conditions. The thing we can't predict is that timely rain going to fall at the right point in the growing season for a soybean or a corn? There are varieties out there that can help us when it comes to being maybe a little bit more drought-tolerant. There are some diseases that are waiting to make their entrance into our region for northern South Dakota, northern North Dakota, and north central Minnesota, and that would be tar spot. Tar spot relies on humidity and moisture. Well, Iowa saw a bunch this year and they were slightly dry. Maybe tar spot could affect us. So that might be another one of those factors that a lot of our growers are looking at as they anticipate their seed purchases, because again, they're putting money down right now. There's a lot of those purchases being made this week, and some of those big seed discounts happen week after next. So there's a lot going on.
Now, with all these purchases, so you're making the purchases now. We haven't hit on the rail strike yet. What if this goes through? Would that affect, would that change anything? I mean, supply and demand. Supply is going to be tough to get then.
Fertilizer. It's not so much with seed as far as moving that by rail, but it'll be a concern with fertilizer and how we're going to move that around. And again, we've already focused on the fact that I need you guys to send some rainfall to the Mississippi River Valley so we can bring the river level up for the barge traffic. And right now, that rail strike is still set. There is, in fact, one of the labor unions that fully intends to start striking on December 4th. And the dollar amount that's attributed to a potential rail strike is $2 billion per day cost right now. So that's some serious money, folks. That's bigger than having to fine Amazon when they're selling pesticides when they shouldn't be.
and from what I understand, if the one company strikes, they're kumbaya. They're all hand in hand. Nobody's going to cross the picket line.
Can. Right. I don't think they'll cross the picket line. Right. But even more so, even if they don't strike, I've listened to and read stories regarding the railroads. If somebody gets sick and can't be there to do their job, just like when one of us is gone, it makes a big dent in the day. Well, if all of a sudden people are sick, cough, cough, not getting to work, those domino effects are going to happen tremendously quickly, and that can still be in effect even if it's not a justifiable strike. So there's a lot of that going on too.
Now, can the government?
There's a few things that are going to affect us.
Yeah. Can the government step in and say you can't strike? I mean, I know they can step in and try, but
they've continually set negotiation periods, cooling off periods for the railroad, but at this point they have not intervened or set an injunction to prevent a strike. They have just reset the cooling off periods for 30-day windows in order to try to get people back to the table to make it happen.
Could they set an injunction, or is that not possible?
I think we're going to have to wait and see what that has to be discussed right now, because December 4th is
that's next week.
Week after next.
Yeah.
I mean, we really only have about 10 days until that could start.
Yeah.
So we'll find out very soon.
Very interesting. Hopefully that ends up playing out in our favor and not with people not going to work, because that would be the last thing that we need right now with all the shortages and supply chain issues that are going on. I've just been making this joke, and I've been running into it anytime I go to the store and there's not something there and it's something that I need or it's something I want. I ask someone, hey, do you got any more of this, or is there any in back, or do you know when you're getting more? Yeah, it's a leather shortage, it's a this shortage, it's a that shortage. I'm like, that's just becoming the new excuse if you're out of something, just there's a shortage.
Yeah, the shortage. But next week will be very telling for a number of these situations with transportation, whether it's rail, trucking, etc. So I bet we'll learn quite a bit when we're together next week, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely will. Well, we're going to head on into our break, get our guests all signed up with us today, and that's going to be Cindy Olson from Olson Tax Prep for Farmers. We're going to be talking about all the planning and what goes ahead over there at Olson to make sure that everything is squared away. So stay right there. We'll be right back.
Dell Technologies Black Friday event has arrived with select deals on top tech to power business productivity. The savings start now with up to 50% off select performance business PCs powered by 12th Gen Intel Core processors. Don't forget special pricing on the latest monitors, docks, and accessories, including free shipping on everything. Call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL for Black Friday deals. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
Dad, I don't feel good.
I'll grab the Vicks DayQuil Kids Honey.
Isn't DayQuil just for parents?
Actually, Vicks DayQuil Kids Honey is just for kids, specially designed to treat kids' most bothersome cold symptoms quickly with a honeylicious tasting flavor kids like.
You know what else kids like?
DayQuil Kids Honey first, then video games.
Deal.
Vicks DayQuil Kids Honey. The kids' honeylicious daytime coughing, congestion, stuffy head, stuffy nose medicine. Safe for ages 6+.
COVID-19 moves fast, and now you can too. If you feel symptoms, even if they're mild, you should test fast. Test positive and at high risk for severe COVID-19? Then act fast with authorized oral treatments that can be taken at home and must be taken within 5 days from when symptoms begin. COVID-19 moves fast, and now you can too by asking your healthcare provider if an oral treatment is right for you. Learn about a treatment option at treatcv19.com. This message is sponsored by Pfizer.
What's your favorite WDAY memory?
I was an older than average student at NSU in journalism. Our assignment was to interview somebody, so I thought of Floyd. I called him up, he invited me to the studio, and I sat alongside of him while he did his show, and he was the coolest guy ever.
He was so funny and so smart. I bet you just had a heck of a time that day.
Yeah, and I got an A on the paper besides.
Yeah. Thanks for being such a loyal WDAY listener.
If you're in charge of your company's holiday party or event, you want the food to be delicious and the atmosphere to be great. O'Kelly's to the rescue. At O'Kelly's, they can help host a holiday or end-of-year party for $5 to $250, or for any number at your business or wedding venue, and they can cater any kind of food. Give them a theme, and they will create the menu. Tell them what food you want, and they can make it happen. Call O'Kelly's to reserve your date. For details, go online to o'kellysfargo.com.
It's about tradition, values, and family ties. Bucklet Chevrolet's tradition of giving back to our community remains a priority. And that's why, to honor our veterans and active military personnel, we're offering an oil change special for just $40 in November. This $40 oil change special is our way of showing thanks for their service, dedication, and commitment. We're Bucklet Chevrolet Buick GMC in Valley City. Tradition, values, and family ties.
See dealer for details. Schedule appointment by 11/30/22.
And welcome to WDAY Weather and Ag in Focus. I'm Bridgette Readel. I am Ag Director, along with Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki and our sidekick meteorologist Justin Storm, who does a fabulous job right from his location in Grand Forks today. So we have with us a guest for this 120 segment, 120 in the afternoon. And her name is Cindy Olson. Cindy is with the Cindy Tax Services of Lisbon, North Dakota. Cindy, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Bridgette?
Fabulous. Thank you so much for agreeing to help us talk about end-of-year taxes, especially as they pertain to farmers. So just give us a little indication. How long have you worked with farmers in the tax situations that you have been?
Well, in my career, I've worked with farmers for over 27 years. First Today Country in Lisbon here, and the last 17 years under Olson Accounting. We're in primarily an ag area, so of course, I don't know the percentage, but I would say, at least 60% of our customers are tied to ag. So, a lot. I've worked with them a lot.
I would say that you've got a pretty good handle on some of the changes that can occur as we're getting ready towards the end of year. Any current issues or trends that you see growers facing as they are starting to get ready for their taxes for 2022?
Yes, there is. This has been a challenging tax planning season so far. We started early, first part of October, with the early harvest, and have been nonstop planning since then, and will be through the end of the year. And a lot of people have much higher income, of course, with the higher commodity prices. In most cases, better than expected yields. And the ERP program payment that came out earlier this year also was a nice income for many of the growers. Pocketed multi-peril insurance. Just there's a whole lot of things happening at the same time that are making people's income higher than expected, and we're looking at planning to see, how to position that, how much to take in this year, so that next year isn't a big issue as well. So it's been challenging.
I bet. And I can only imagine the questions that growers have as they roll into your office and just say, how do I even start? And do you have a first piece of advice for them when they come in the door, the first thing you want them to think about or bring with in preparation for your discussions?
Well, one of the first things we talk about is just, where they're at. We always look at, what your inventories are, what are we looking at for this year, as well as what next year is looking at as far as your carryover. What kind of operating loan payments you have or operating balances you have. We don't want to we want to take enough income in this year to help pay down as much operating as possible, especially now with the high interest rates. So, one of the first things we talk about is where are you at right now? What additional income do you have coming in? How much more can we take in? And we can just kind of build from there. I mean, there's all kinds of issues. So.
And you're going to make it smooth for all of them. That I pretty much can guarantee. You're going to make this as painless as possible.
Yeah, pretty hard. One of the big issues people have is machinery right now. That people can't find it. You look at, they want to trade heads and they can't. They might have one even ordered, but they can't get it for sometimes a year or longer. And so using the Section 179 or buying machinery as a tool is becoming hard for them to do because they can't get their hands on it. So that's been challenging.
And Cynthia, what advice would you give to, let's say, a new farmer if they decided to come and see you? Is there any specific advice you would give them?
One of the first things we talk about is don't be afraid to pay tax. When, paying tax means you're making money. The only way to reduce debt and to further your financial position is to have income. You have to have income to be able to reduce debt. And as long as you manage that and you try to pay as much as you can at the lowest possible rates, then you're paying the least amount of your life. I think when people start out and they want to try to get their taxes down to nothing is when they get off on the wrong foot. So I try to encourage people from the get-go to maximize that 12% bracket at least, and build from there based on their operation. But definitely don't be afraid to maximize those low brackets.
And if someone is trying to reach one of those brackets, or maybe they're just trying to reduce their income a little bit for the taxes, what are some tools that they can use to do so?
Oh, there's many different things that we can do to lower income. On the depreciation front, if they have purchased new equipment, there's a bonus depreciation that can be used. There's different rules that surround that, with different exceptions, but many people can use that. There's also a Section 179 expense that can be used. Again, they all have limitations and special rules, but in many cases that could fit. But those two things are only if they have purchased new machinery. There's always the option of prepaying next year's inputs. They capture, in many cases, early order or early pay discounts by locking in those products for prepay, and so there's incentive to do that other than lowering their income. We don't always want to prepay everything because then next year you won't have any expenses. So that one we have to use reasonably, but that is also an option.
And you had just mentioned I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. What were you going to add on to that?
Oh, no, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to ask, because you said kind of a key word right there is the prepay, and that goes along with any form of taxes. And a lot of people maybe don't exactly understand what it is. Should I do it? Should I not? Should you prepay or do a portion of a prepay for the coming up year? Is that a good benefit for most people?
I think, you can't cookie cutter and say it's a benefit to do it, because everybody's situation is a little bit different. It is good in the fact that they're locking down cheaper prices for their product in most cases. Vendors give discounts to guarantee that they're the ones selling you the product. And so they will give you a discount on your seed or your fertilizer if you lock it in December. But if you paying that is going to bring your farm income too low, then on the tax side of things, it's not a benefit, even though it might have been a benefit on your, on the price part. So we kind of have to watch that. If they want to prepay, but we don't want them to have the expense, then I typically encourage them to take more income in to help offset that. So, we sell some more grain and then lock in your prepay. So the bottom line, that the net income stays the same.
And folks who are listening, we are visiting with Cynthia Olson. Cindy has her business, her accounting and tax service in Lisbon, North Dakota. She's answering questions for us that relates to the end of the year tax situations for farmers and ranchers and how we can help them get prepared before they come in to visit with Cindy or their tax professional. We are going to listen to some messages from our sponsors. We'll be back shortly, and we'll continue on with that conversation with Cindy Olson right after this.
Hi, this is Kevin Pfeiffer with Pfeiffer's Auction Company. Pfeiffer's upcoming November auctions include nearly 1,000 acres of crop and pasture land in McLean County, 192 acres of cropland in Wells County, 640 acres of cropland in McHenry County near Upham, North Dakota, 320 acres of exceptional crop and hunting land in Ransom County, and 310 acres of crop and pasture land in Barnes County, North Dakota. View these auctions and many more land and farm equipment retirement auctions at Pfeiffer's.com.
The holidays are approaching, and it's a great time to show your special someone just how much they're loved. At Wimmer's Diamonds, we believe in love and in surprises. I'm Aaron Wimmer, inviting you to stop into our new inviting showroom to find the perfect and beautiful reminder of your love. Our family, helping your family celebrate your special moments. Wimmer's Diamonds, 4582 32nd Avenue South in Fargo.
From the tower of the Cass County Courthouse to the Black Building and everywhere in between, we've been there for the biggest events in the history of Fargo and Moorhead. Celebrate 100 years of broadcast radio with the biggest names and moments of those 100 years here on WDAY. We're also giving you a chance to win $100 every Thursday all year long. Find all the details at WDAYradionow.com. And thank you for 100 years of memories. We look forward to another 100 years of service to Fargo, Cass County, and to you.
Join us on Tuesday at 10:06 a.m. when we bring you the Luther Family Ford Nonprofit of the Week on the Coffee Club. This is one of the most special things we do to honor and showcase our local nonprofits because they are the lifeblood of keeping our communities safe, fed, housed, educated, and more. Join us at 10:06 a.m. every Tuesday when we bring you another Luther Family Ford Nonprofit of the Week on WDAY's The Coffee Club.
Are you afraid of the dentist? putting off much needed work on your dental health because you're uncomfortable in the chair? There's a lot of reasons that people fear dental work. But that's why Sedation Dentistry is here. Dr. Jeff, my dentist, Designer Smiles, does sedation dentistry. It works great. You can complete years of dental work in one visit. Call to schedule your appointment at 701-298-9400 to find out more, or go to fargodentalcare.com.
When bright sunshine streams through your windows and causes glare on your TV and computer screens, you can miss some pretty big moments.
I can't see the screen.
Close the blinds.
I'm Del from Sun Control of Fargo, and we can help. Our micro-thin window films eliminate harsh glare so you can see your screens clearly without closing your blinds and blocking your view. See every moment with Sun Control, the area's premier window film installers. Call 701-298-9658 or visit us at scfargo.com.
It's the first unlimited full-service and exterior works wash club at Don's Car Washes. You can have the best of both worlds with unlimited interior and exterior washes at the Don's on 13th Avenue and unlimited exterior washes at the Don's on 52nd Avenue. Truly unlimited washes for only $49.99 per month. Join Don's Unlimited Wash Club. Exterior unlimited washes starting as low as $19.99 per month. It's never been easier to put a smile on your car at Don's Car Washes.
Hey, Chris Berg here. Radio personalities like myself, we spend a ton of time and energy during the day, obviously in front of the computer. We're looking for news stories for you, talking to callers. So when the day is finally over, I get to go home and crawl into my Comfort King excited because I know I'm going to get a great night's sleep. At Comfort King Mattress Factory, they build a mattress just for you. That's what they do. Comfort King has the only lifetime comfort guarantee. So buy local and shop Comfort King Mattress Factory.
Welcome to WDAY Weather and Ag in Focus. So excited that you are joining us on this lovely day before Thanksgiving. It is 1:34 in the afternoon, and I'm Bridgette, Readel Ag Director, along with Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki and our meteorologist extraordinaire, Justin Storm. So we have on the line with us today our guest, that is Cindy Olson, and she is with Olson Accounting and Tax Services in Lisbon, North Dakota. And Cindy, I may be extending the name of your business only to give folks a good, clear picture of what it is that you all do down in Lisbon. And we've been talking strongly about getting farmers and ranchers ready to face tax season 2022 and prepare by the end of this calendar year. You made mention earlier about watching inventory. What kind of inventory does a farmer or a rancher have? What are the things that you ask them about in that regard?
What we ask for is what they currently have on hand, both in the bin, at the elevator, that they have not taken the money for yet. And so in some cases they've sold grain but deferred it. That would be carryover. Anything they sold it, they just haven't gotten the money for it. Most farmers, it's not income until they take the check in the bank. And so if they haven't taken the check, it's inventory. If they have open bushels at the elevator, we want to know how many bushels, at what estimated price. If it's in the bin, same thing. So we go through the grain list and figure out the numbers there. If they're cattle ranchers, they're going to have calves that they typically market, usually the following year. And that would be inventory in their situation. In addition to just the commodities, when we look at inventory and carryover, we also talk a little bit about prepays, so we can get a handle on how much have you prepaid this year compared to what you prepaid last year, and just to get a feel for how what we're doing now is going to impact them next year. So.
And I was wondering, with everything that's been going on with the interest rate hikes that have been going on throughout the year at a 3/4 at a pop every single 6 weeks or so, how does the change in interest rates affect what farmers are doing right now or plans for next year or even a couple of years down the road? How is that making a change or impacting people right now?
Well, in two different ways. You know, one of the things that I have been talking to people about is paying a little more a little more tax this year. It was a great year. A lot of people's carryovers are tremendously higher than what they were last year, and their income is also higher. Don't be afraid to capture those high prices. Use all the brackets you can and relieve some debt so that those interest rates can be, or your interest payments can be cut in that regard. And the other thing that we have been doing to try to help that interest from accruing is make different choices on how we lower their income for the year. So we talked about some of the things that they can do to lower their income. Another thing that they can do to lower their income is defer crop insurance. That's a non-cash way to lower their income, as long as it was crop insurance received on current year crop. So, for example, even say we have somebody that we don't need to lower their income, but they got $120,000 in crop insurance for 2022 loss. We can take that crop insurance and defer it into 2023 and pay tax on it then, even though we've got the money and spend it. And then I can have them take in another $125,000 worth of grain sales to offset that deferment and take that cash that they got from that grain sale and pay down operating. So, in that sense, it lowers your operating bill.
And I'm going to kind of I'm going to piggyback off that a little bit, Cynthia, in terms of deferring certain things. If our ag community knows that next year our drought conditions are going to worsen, can they do anything with their taxes knowing that is going to occur for next year?
If you know sure, you can plan for that. If you think that your income is going to be lower because of the drought, your production's going to be down. For the most part, I haven't had producers thinking that way. I'm not saying that's not going to happen. You know better than I or any of the producers in that regard. But there definitely would be things. You could defer more income into next year, thinking that if next year's bushels are down, obviously your income's going to be down. Hopefully that's not the case, but that's not typically what we plan for. We plan for an average year going into the next year, and just not doing anything in the current year that's going to hurt you next year. That's typically what we plan for.
Okay.
So, Cindy, I'm going to think about a trend here with a year with strong commodity crop prices. Even though inputs have been high, no doubt, for a lot of our producers, it's still been a fair amount of profitability for folks. Do you see any trends that you have more new farmers coming in 2022, or some of your older farmers are retiring because they want to go out on a high note? Have you noticed anything like that this year in discussions you've had with your producers?
Oh, boy, we've had... I think in our office we have more going out than we have coming in. There's always, some of that happens all the time anyway, but there's definitely the ones that, want to stop on the high note. The problem with stopping on the high note is once, a lot of our, that generation who's nearing retirement, we've had years now of low prices, and now that they're getting higher, they just maybe want to go one more year because one more year of high prices, and then I'll retire. So they want to take advantage of that too. But so I think that the prices really haven't impacted those decisions for people. I think that there's other things that are impacting their decision to exit than price, I think.
Okay, that's fair. I think that's very fair.
I got a question here just on kind of how it works. Let's say there's a farmer out there, they own their farm, the operation, they just hire out a couple of people to help them throughout the year. They go and file their taxes. Are they filing these taxes as some special, almost like a small company, or are they filing them as an individual personal income?
Yes and yes. So it depends on how they're set up. Most farmers, the lion's share, are sole proprietors. So they file a Schedule F with their personal tax return. the lion's share are that way. But we do have many that are S corporations, many that are C corporations, many that are partnerships. So, you can be established in many different ways, and you would change how you're set up for various different reasons. But, you can be whatever makes sense for your operation, I guess. Most are just sole proprietors, though. That's the easiest form.
So let's say, like, I invest in the stock market. The capital return that I get from that, I have to add to my personal income to pay the tax on that because it's not taxed when I sell the stocks at whatever point in the year. Let's say a farming operation that's kind of doing this as a personal operation or a personal business, they're doing the same thing, or they're trading commodities, and at the end of the year they got this extra capital gains that they have to add to their tax thing. How does that affect people who are doing something like that are trading commodities or trading stocks when it comes to a personal tax filing like that? Is it hurting them? Is it making it better? Or are there things you can do with that where it kind of, again, like you had mentioned, offsets it somewhere?
Let me make sure I understand the question. You're saying a farmer who's got a bottom line net profit of a certain level from their farm operation, or are you saying an investor who is hedging commodities? You can
more on like just like an operation.
Not a farmer.
Oh, what were you gonna say?
I said even you or I who don't farm could speculate and hedge wheat and corn and soybeans. We can do that as well, and that's tax different, but.
Right. I guess the lines that I'm going on is say I have an operation. I make $150,000 at the end of the year from farming.
Yeah.
I also make an additional $75,000 from my investments in the stock market.
Yep.
How do those two things come together?
How do they tie? Yeah. Okay. So the Schedule F is filed for the farm income and expenses, and on that Schedule F, it's just like. With your tax return that you file, if you have W-2 wages, those are going to be reported on the 1040. If you have interest in income, that's going to also be reported on your 1040. If you have farm net profit, that you're going to have to attach a Schedule F showing the detail of it, but the net profit is going to be reported on your 1040. All of the income from all of your sources get mixed together in your 1040, and you pay tax on the total for federal and state. On some types of income, it's taxed differently. So on the Schedule F farm profit, you pay 15.3% self-employment tax in addition to federal and state. So, and that's Social Security and Medicare tax. So farm income is taxed higher than, say, interest or dividend income when you're calculating how much you owe. So that's how it all kind of mixes together.
Okay.
And Justin, this is why we go to a tax professional, because you and I would much rather somebody like Cindy.
I was going to say, my head just started spinning there.
I was following a few of it, and then we started getting in a little deeper, and I'm like, here you go, please. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, Cindy,
I tried to simplify it.
Oh, you did a fabulous job of simplifying it. You really did. And last question for you is, are you seeing a higher than average use of prepay, or also known as buying ahead, for farm inputs here at the end of 2022 than you have historically over the last few years? Do you think that the dollars for prepay have gone up this year?
I'm going to say no on that.
Okay.
I think that there's a lot of people who have locked in. I shouldn't prepaid before December 31st. No. There's a lot of times people can lock in prices on prepay and they pay in January. And I do know that there's a lot of people doing that. It's only because we talked earlier about the operating loan and the interest rates. In most cases, if somebody's going to prepay $175,000 for seed, they don't, or fertilizer, they don't want to advance on operating in November and pay interest for any longer than what they have to. And so if we can use another tool to lower their income and then wait with that fertilizer as long as we can, they are prepaying, but not by December 31st.
Gotcha. Folks, we've been listening to and visiting with Cindy Olson, and Cindy has Olson Tax Accounting and taxes and accounting, two separate things, in Lisbon, North Dakota. Cindy, if folks would like to reach out to you after the show, how could they do that?
Oh, you can call our office. The office line is 701-683-2700, or you can email me at cindy@colsoncpa.com.
Looking forward to hearing more from folks who reached out to you, and I know that you'll be able to help them tremendously. We are going to be back after we catch up with the American Ag Network, listen to the markets, and we'll finish up with some more weather around the region as you prepare for your Thanksgiving holiday. We'll be right back.
Download the app, sign up, and say bye-bye, bugs. Tommy's Express Car Wash is that easy. Tommy's offers a cleaner car wash and an overall better experience. Wash your car as often as needed. And the best part, after 3 washes, it pays for itself, and you can use it at all 3 other FM locations. Download the app, pre-buy, and skip the line. Or stop by one of their 3 locally owned Tommy's Express Car Wash locations. Tommy's Express Car Wash. Love your ride.
When love is shared, great things happen. After 15 years of the Subaru Share the Love event, Subaru and the retailers have donated over $250 million to charity. Get a new Subaru now through January 3rd, and $250 will be donated to charity. You get a new all-wheel drive Subaru while helping your fellow man. Stop in today. Muscatel Subaru, just off exit 1 in Moorhead. See Subaru.com for details.
It's Jane Ronnie from the Coffee Club, and we love MyPillow. We absolutely love the Giza Dream Sheets, made with the world's best cotton, grown only in a region between the Sahara Desert, the Mediterranean Sea, and the Nile River. Its long staple cotton makes it ultra soft and breathable.
Yeah, let me tell you, this 400 thread count, they are fantastic sheets. They are warm when you need to be warm. They are cool when you need to have very thin layer between you and the mattress. It is a fantastic sleep with Giza Dream Sheets. 60-day money-back guarantee, machine washable and durable, and a 10-year warranty.
Available in multiple colors, styles, and sizes. All right now for a great low price of $29.99 with promo code WDAY. All you need to do is go to MyPillow.com, go to Listener Radio Special Box, put in the promo code WDAY. MyPillow.com, go to Listener Radio Special Box, put in the promo code WDAY.
Promo code WDAY.
Grain markets finished higher with livestock mostly lower on Wednesday's session. This is the American Ag Network. I'm Jesse Allen with this closing market update. As we look at Wednesday's trade action ahead of the holiday, we have no trade on Thanksgiving, and the markets reopen hard on Friday at 8:30 in the morning with a abbreviated session. Grains were mostly either side of unchanged throughout the day, but found some late buying strength led by corn and soybeans up moderately, and spring wheat finding some moderate strength as well as we wrapped up the day on a good note Wednesday. Livestock trade was mostly lower, though, as the grain started to take off a bit. Cash cattle trade picked up as feedlots were rewarded for their patience on the day, but overall it was a fairly quiet day in livestock to lower. Crude oil down about 4% on the day as well, but the grain trade largely ignored that move in crude oil to have a fairly good day on Wednesday ahead of the Thanksgiving holiday. Final numbers on Wednesday. December quart up 6.5, 663 at a quarter. March quart up 7, 666 at a quarter. January beans up 6 at a quarter, 1436. March up 5.5, 1442. December bean meal up $1.10 a ton, 409.70. December beet oil up 107 points at 74.91. Chicago wheat December 2 higher, 793 at a half. March up 3, 813 at a half. KC wheat December up 4 3/4, 930 at a quarter. March up 7 3/4, 919 3/4. December spring wheat 12 higher, 958. Spring wheat for March up 1 3/4, 952. December live cattle down 45, 153.35. February down $1, 155.42. January feeder cattle down 242, 179.25. March down 222, 182.35. And December hogs down 30 at 83.95. February down 127 at 88.80 on Wednesday. That's a look at Wednesday's closing markets. You're listening to the American Ag Network. I'm Jesse Allen.
And welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. 1:52 in the afternoon. I'm meteorologist Justin Storm with Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki and Ag Director Bridgette Readel. And again, we thank you for listening. We just got done speaking with Cynthia Olson, talking about taxes and accounting and all the headaches that go along with it and why it's so much easier just to go to her and have her do them for you. So if you missed out on that conversation, head over to our Facebook, YouTube page, or Acres TV, Weather and Ag in Focus. You'll be able to find that full interview as well as a link to all of our other favorite interviews that we've had on there. Before we take a look at what's going on around the nation for weather and another quick peek at regional weather, Bridgette, why don't we take a little stab into another ag topic that's going on around the area? I know there's always been chat about, is there a supply demand, or not a supply demand, but a supply shortage, and especially with what the railroad is having their issues with and everything else. What's diesel supplies looking like?
So you guys may remember I've talked before, I'm a fan of the folks over at StoneX, and they do a great job of analyzing what's happening, especially with energy markets, and I follow very closely what they do with fertilizer. And as you listen to their energy analysis, they talk about diesel fuel production in the U.S. We actually produce about 25% more than we need. We produce about 5 million gallons a day. We need about 4. And so we can export that extra 1 million gallons of diesel fuel because oftentimes it's not always in the right place. And that's happened so much over the last couple of years. We're not in a short supply of a particular product. Just like you said earlier, we're out of it, right? You go to the store, Justin, and the item that you wanted, it's just not there. It's not on the shelf today, but it might be there in a week. And that's the same situation with diesel fuel. There are spot outages. Overall, diesel is still plentiful in the country. It just might not be right where you are. Now, in regard to our farming community, it would be a great idea to take the time to have the discussion with your supplier, because right now we're seeing about a 20 to 30 cent decrease in the price of diesel fuel. Take advantage. Book your diesel for the 2023 season and find out from them, what are they looking at? Will there be any supply disruptions with all of the transportation hiccups we see across the country? What can they do to help solve some of those problems for you? How big is your storage on farm? Those will be great conversations that we can have right now as we get ready for the 2023 growing season already.
It's a great way to put it. So why don't we take another look at the weather now? Definitely. Dean, what's going on around the nation? I know it's, for the most part, pretty quiet. Anything sticking out to you?
Well, for the most part, it is. The far southern plains, Texas, Oklahoma Panhandle, expecting a foot of snow, up to a foot of snow possible, as an area of low pressure kind of parks itself down into the far southern plains. And that's not a bad thing. They need the moisture, but that would be the only target area, let's say, from southeastern Colorado, Texas, Oklahoma Panhandle, that are going to have any travel trouble over the next 24 to 36 hours. That system will then move to the northeast and bring quite a bit of rain from Dallas, so there might be airport delays in Dallas, Houston, and then moving up the Ohio Valley into the East Coast by the end of the week. But mostly rain after this exits the Texas, Oklahoma Panhandles. All the really cold air is kind of trapped up in Canada for now, but we're seeing signs that's ready to move southward, but the question is just when. We're waiting for that jet stream to kind of buckle up into Alaska, and usually that will shove that cold air south. And usually there's a pretty big storm system that precedes that. Not seeing it quite yet on our models, but that's something we'll keep an eye on for next week. But after that first week in December, we're starting to see signs of some really cold air starting to pour south from Canada. And I'd like to see, I mean, with this warm weather we have right now, just looking out the windows today, you could see that sun really starting to take an impact on the snow. That's starting to melt. When we get that true Arctic air to spill in here, would like a little fresh snowpack. So it's better. You don't want that bare ground and an absolutely hard shot of some Arctic air, and that looks like it's on its way before Christmas, if not a little sooner than that. So I'm sure we'll see some snow before that, but boy, oh boy, it's just looking like a pretty dry pattern through our area for the next 7 days, and let's hope we can break that trend. Again, this just looks eerily similar to what we had 2 years ago when we, and mark me if I'm wrong, Bridgette, but I don't think we went into that spring with the drought conditions that we currently have. So it wasn't drought adding on to drought, expanding. This would be much worse if we don't break this pattern coming into this spring and summer.
Yeah, we did have moisture in that spring of 2020, but we saw that summer dry out. I remember distinctly having a pretty heavy downpour of rain in about August. Right here where I'm at in northern Cass County, we got like a 6-inch rainfall in one night. So not everybody's going to get that. Again,
Right.
so many of these rainstorms and snowstorms can be localized. We don't know where they're going to happen. Now, in a positive, to one of our listeners who listens down in the Gwinner, Lisbon, Fort Ransom area, where our guest Cindy Olson is from, I had a farmer tell me earlier today that with the sunshine we've had, the ice finally melted off all of their power lines and trees, and that was from that ice storm that happened almost 2 weeks ago. They've had ice that long.
Wow.
So things are finally better in that neighborhood, you guys.
I noticed that when I was down around the Siston area yesterday driving south to Omaha. I said, wow, these trees are still caked with ice. So, yeah, I bet that all melted off today. I was kind of surprised, too. I'm like, it's still on there. That's amazing. Wow.
It's been quite a while. And in
Yeah.
fact, there are some ranchers with cattle. They literally took their land rollers and rolled the corn stalks to break the ice off so cattle could get down to the corn that was on the ground to feed, because they're currently field grazing them. So interesting little side note of what's going on in the farm community right now.
Very interesting. And Bridgette, I don't know if we got enough time for this. We got about a minute and a half or so. Let's go. Deer damage and crops. What are the deer doing now?
Eating them. They tend to, deer know it's no longer hunting season. So they're getting into haystacks that farmers have, and they bed down in them, but also they leave behind like poop. And then cows and sheep won't eat that. They don't like that hay. So as a farmer, if you're lucky, you are able to fence in your hay area so that you don't get deer that damage it. But come spring, when those duck and goose hunters come back, we appreciate them coming in the fall to limit the population, because they literally can set down in a field and eat 5 or 6 acres because they like those nice juicy green plants. So pests do come around and in very different forms in the field.
And I want to take a quick second to plug our beautiful and fantastic, that's how I'll phrase it, winter weather outlook. 2 weeks from today, it'll be on the Jay Thomas Show from 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock. All of us will be on there along with meteorologist Gary Lezak, who invented the LRC. And we'll be able to tell you what the rest of the winter looks like. Again, that's December 7th, starting at 2. That'll do it for today. We want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. Thank you so much for joining us. And we are going to be off for the next couple of days, so we'll catch you all back here on Monday. Have a great holiday.
970 WDAY AM and